here. Welcome back to Mentality of Health, Strong Cyclical Method. Right now we are doing the pull-up challenge, so this is mainly for that. So we're going to focus on a little bit of upper body and thoracic region mobility today that you can add in to your weekend or to your daily routine or whatever, just depending on how much mobility work you want to do and how stiff you're feeling or how flexible and mobile you're feeling. So get ready, find a stable base. Just if you're doing this on the ground, I'd suggest grabbing a mat or a blanket or do it on carpet or something slightly soft. And you are going to start in your tabletop position. And we're just going to do a tabletop position scapular pull. So basically we're going to sink into the ground, allowing our chest to come lower, squeezing through our shoulder blades, and then we're going to raise ourselves back up, stretching through the top of our back. So I'll show you from this side. So we're stretching, and then we're sinking into it, squeezing nice and tight, and then stretching back out. And we're just working through this motion. Okay, so that is very similar to our pull-up motion, the first pull in our pull-up. So our scapular pull in the pull-up looks a lot like this. You grab onto your bar, usually you're kind of sunken in, and your first pull is bringing your shoulders from earmuffs back down to their socket where they belong. All right, so it's that motion. But when we're in the tabletop position, we're adding a little bit of resistance with our body weight so we can work through it in a strengthening manner, just like so. And then we're feeling a nice stretch, squeezing together. Okay, so again, that's a tabletop position, scapular pull. It relates to the first motion of your pull-up. Okay, now we are going to get into our child's pose and just get into a little bit of stretch here. And these ones, we are just going to, I guess, I don't know, a child's pose, TikToks or whatever, I don't know. You're just going to go in like a clock motion, working your way inch by inch to one side, focusing on stretching this side. And then you are going to inch your way back to the other side. And just kind of keep going. And we're just working on getting and practicing stretching through the lats there, which definitely help with the full range and healthy range of motion with your pull-up and most upper body exercises. Okay, so your lats connect from backing here all the way up through your armpit. So it's a nice long muscle, super wide, covers the top portion of your back, and like I said, goes all the way up to the armpit. So when we're doing those child pose TikTok timer things, and I don't mean TikTok like the app, I mean like if you've ever done gymnastics, it's just like you use it like in clocks, like you're going back and forth, like a clock, okay? Anyway, so you have those, and you're just working through side to side, getting that stretch, and then squeezing back through the other side to get you back and forth. So we have that, and now we're going to do one through the opposite side. We're going to stretch this front portion. So basically we're just going to go ahead and do like a reverse tabletop. So I'm going to set up like this, and then I'm just going to bring my hips up. So depending on your shoulder strength and mobility, you'll lift up maybe to here or here, just depends on where you're at, but you want to feel this stretch through here a little bit, right? And we're just practicing being able to hold ourselves still and stable while being in a slightly stretched position. So this isn't like the most natural position, but we are just working on being able to stabilize our shoulder joints in positions that are slightly stretched, right? So when we put our arm back like that, we are stretching the anterior portion of our shoulders to the front side, and that just allows us to open up our chests. And that is super important when we're doing the pull-ups too, because a lot of times one of the many positional or body positional faults that you see in general with a lot of people now across the world is the tight cross right here. So where you're just kind of slightly hunched. And this has to do with literally everything that we do on a daily basis, including texting, eating, driving, doing work at your desk, or whatever. Unless you're consciously thinking about bringing your shoulders down and back in a proper position, one of the many body faults is to kind of just curve in slightly. It's not the biggest deal. It's good and awesome if you can think about opening up the chest, but that is why we are doing this. So as you open up your arms, you're just getting a little stretch in there. Trying to open up that and basically reverse everything that you do on a daily basis. Okay, so those are just a few movements that you can do for now. I'm going to give you a bonus one to help strengthen your pelvic floor, just because that's also super important core musculature that for women can often go through some body trauma in many different forms and ways, but one of the biggest ways is having a baby, right? And that's not trauma necessarily having to be like in a bad trauma, but it does do a lot to your body, and it's shocking, and it's not necessarily your body's like norm. So it's something new, foreign, different. Our bodies are obviously fairly built to do that kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean it's still not a big deal to the body. So anytime there's any sort of abdominal or core disruption, such as a pregnancy, it's super important to rebuild all of those muscles starting at the pelvic floor. So a wonderful little core exercise. It's basically just a glute bridge, but you're hyper focusing on bringing in your pelvic floor. So you're going to do a Kegel at the same time. So our first glute bridge, we're going to go up and we're going to Kegel in. So I'm not doing any weight. I don't need to do this weighted or anything like that, but I'm Kegling in. So I'm pulling in my pelvic floor up and in, and I'm squeezing my glutes, and I'm keeping my belly tight as well. Okay, so if you've never done a Kegel, you're basically stopping your pee midstream. So that's like, if you've done that, then that's what basically a Kegel is. So just practice that. And then as I release, I'm gonna release everything, relax all the way through my pelvic floor. And then again, as I come back up, I'm picturing like if I'm gonna like try to like suck air from my yoni all the way up to my nose, okay? So I'm trying to like that, okay? But with my muscles. So I'm gonna go up and I'm squeezing all the way in, all the way through pelvic floor, through my core, my entire core here. Squeeze there. If you wanna challenge this position a little bit, you can do some heel slides. Do one at a time, slide one heel out. Keep that pelvic floor engaged the entire time. Slide back out, and you can alternate that. Go down, release, squeeze back up. Again, if you want to challenge this more, you can add in those heel slides, nice and slow and controlled. The time under tension here is kind of what we're going for. Anyway, so those are your basically Kegel focused glute bridges. You can add in the heel slides to challenge pulling in your pelvic floor and your core even more so. While you're doing any core movement, especially when you're trying to engage the pelvic floor, I want you guys to think about your spine as being like a big giant magnet, and all of your core musculature are attracted to it. So when you go to engage your core, you're flipping on that magnetic charge and everything is going in towards your spine. So obviously the core musculature is there to protect your spine, so that is why we are going to pull everything that we have up and in towards it. So think of your spine as a magnet. Anytime you're doing any core exercise or any exercise, you should be engaging your core and pulling it up and in. So next time you do these glute bridges or any core movement, also try to just engage your pelvic floor, because that is part of your core. And if you're actively thinking about it, it's going to become